I was just saying that yeah, he did join in Thursday, and I said no, the interview wasn't going on, and so but it's good that he was
It
able to
is.
surprise you.
It is. That's a great surprise, and to have us both on at the same time is perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. He's a good man. He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that he did, he has, we haven't had an interview yet. I mean, this is the closest we had, but he's been he supports both my YouTube and IG just to because he notices that I focus on the positive. I'm not looking to so I'm always focused on celebrating. So he's been a
Yes.
big fan of supporter of that. Um, but it's very interesting that you didn't mention that you were actually into playing sports. Were you actually playing for the
I didn't
uni?
get, you know what? No, I didn't play. I mean, I played in high school and then I went down to LSU to, I was hopefully to walk on, be a part of the team. And I just wasn't on that level as an
Okay,
athlete, you know,
okay.
I wasn't on that athlete. I wasn't on that level, but that was my dream. And then this came about same year, like a year later, So I felt, hey, it all worked out perfectly. Yes.
So were you guys, even though I mean, you're first cousins, but were you guys stuck close growing up as well as kids, or could you mention that there's an age difference?
Yeah, we were because we lived in the same house.
Oh,
It just was easier to go to the school that we went to. It was easier for Al to live with my family. So my
okay,
parents said, you know what, let him come stay here. So he did his high school years living with us. So that's
oh,
why it was more than a cousin relationship. He became that younger brother. You know, that's why
okay,
he always calls say brother, brother. But
yeah.
yeah, we were that close before then too. And then that's what made it so easy for him to come live with us in high school.
Oh, okay. Now I heard him say that he wanted to be a rapper, not a singer.
That is true. Yeah, because he hung with Eddie, and he saw what
Uh,
Heavy was doing, and he just thought that, and he could write raps pretty good, so he said,
mm,
"Let's do that." Then that's when I came in. I was already at school, so he said, "Hey, we should do this. Heavy's got a record out," and I said, I don't know nothing about rap." I said, "But I know how to play music." So he goes, oh, do something, So that's what got him to say, let's focus and do our thing and let's do the music,
mm.
And he's obviously always kept rap close to him, but that's when he developed his songwriting and his singing. When I left school, it was all no more rapping. It was all about the trying to become an R&B artist.
Yeah, because we were talking about the influence of Teddy, and I know that he was a keyboard player, but the one thing you mentioned about Eddie and probably Teddy is that this thing called an MPC, the programming is because I used to assume that if you're producing, you're playing the music on the keyboards and someone's playing the drums, and then and you just record it and patch it together. But it seems it's all in a way artificial music.
It's studio generated. I'll say it that way because look, it still takes time. It takes time and talent to program. It's just everyone has a drum machine nowadays, but you have to have the talent and the ear to know what you're doing. I remember Teddy said that years ago. People like to emulate his drum sounds, but it's like, okay, well, you got the sounds now. You got a program, and that you can't do. So even though we're more studio musicians, um, you gotta have the talent to set you apart from what everyone else is doing.
So what do you think sets you apart then from what others were doing, especially during those times?
I my spin on R&B, because it's bringing, with hip hop, with New Jack, you're bringing in the elements of R&B, but I also had an element of orchestral classical music. So that's where
Mm,
I stood apart. So I would have orchestra of strings and reed and guitar going through, where most hip hop or New Jack records had maybe 3 or 4 instruments. I'd have maybe 8, and then I'd have them intertwined. And then got to give a shout out to Rowie Shamir, who was the our engineer on that first album. You got to know how to mix those sounds together. So we had a very plush R&B sound on top of these New Jack beats.
The you know, and I think that's the one thing that because I know there was a lot of copycat of what Teddy was doing, his type of New Jack, because it became so big that everyone tried to do it. You know, when I mentioned Off and Our Own Girl and Rescue Me and Night and Day becoming hits in Nigeria, it was. Yeah, and I there's a part of me that knows that, look, the Albie Shaw's looks, it was, you know, he was like a model, so, you know, he had the looks, when a denim jeans back in those days, with the looks, but the music was different, and as I said, it was the sort of the drum programming was different as well. Who else was sounding? Who do you think had this? Because you were different from Teddy. I would know the difference with it. So you went because Teddy uses his piano a lot when he's with his drums, and you could feel his music in his drums.
Yes,
I think maybe Dallas Austin sometimes, or Spider-Man and Freeze, were they?
Freeze, yes, Freeze. He was definitely in that direction too, especially with Off on Your Own. I could tell that record definitely influenced him. I remember I met him once, and
Okay.
you know, he definitely mentioned Off on Your Own was definitely up his alley. But I was a student of, you know, of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So their R&B, because they were aggressive too, but they were able to put their style of R&B and then give it even, you know, with the string lines and everything that they did. I kind of went in that direction. But after me, I mean, you have producers like Dave Hall and
Yeah.
those guys. They could, you know, and he was under Eddie. So you got to your music, you know. Oh, there we go. You got
Yeah.
to have the musical chops to be able to do that. You know, now you
Yeah.
can't just throw some instruments on top of the beat and be able to compete. That wasn't going to make it. You know.
Yeah. No, what I think, you know, no, I think with the people that came after you guys, I think the one thing that we noticed was that some of the drums, because I would say that Spider-Man Freeze, his drums seem to have emulated, copied. I won't say copy, but it was different from a Teddy's. So your drums were different. Probably I can think of that Dallas Austin when he did the ABC and those types
Yeah.
of, it looked as if they use the same type of drums. I won't say samples, but it's the sound, because
Yes.
Teddy used a very different type of sound. So that I could hear sonically was different. Were you aware of when others were not copying your style or following in the pattern that you were doing? How did it feel like in those days?
You know what, Nandi? I was flattered. You know, you know, it's definitely a level of flattery when someone thinks what you do is on a level that they'd want to copy. You know, not copy, but just they're learning from it. Because all the producers that I've met over the years have always said, "Yo, man, I studied your work."
Mhm.
You know, that's not stealing, and that's saying, well, I'm glad I was good enough, you know,
Yeah.
for you to feel that way. So I've always had love, you know, the Devontae Swings and those guys. Those guys, I've always had love with other producers. They've always given me respect, and I've always given them respect. So I always felt good, you know.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the Halftime Chat community. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, why don't you consider being a member? That's a way of supporting the channel, but also getting a lot of videos ahead of time, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and some exclusive content that doesn't get shared. But anyway, thanks for watching and thanks for being part of Halftime Chat.